Asia might not have made the headlines during the 2000s and early 2010s, but the continent is today the epicenter of data center investment and expansions. Today, I'm joined by Rangu Salgame, Chairman and CEO of digital infrastructure developer and operator Princeton Digital Group, who is on a multi-billion-dollar journey to build his footprint across the region. Rangu, thank you so much for talking to me. You've obviously been extremely busy over the last 18 months, 24 months. $1 billion in China, $1 billion in Japan, hundreds of millions of dollars going into several other locations. I think you must have been around 2.5 billion, give it or take, in terms of investments announced over the last 18 months. What is the goal and the timeline here?
Yeah, thank you for having me, João. We started a journey about 4 years ago with the thesis that there is a market need to create a pan-Asia data center operator which serves the largest of the cloud companies, hyperscalers at the global standards. So with that thesis, in the last 4 years, we've been able to build a pretty formidable footprint in 5 countries. As you pointed out, in the recent past, we've added Japan, Indonesia has been there from early on, and Mumbai we added this year, India. So overall today, we have about 19 projects, data centers across 5 countries in 19 cities. So it's a pretty formidable footprint in that. But more importantly, as we got some of the first projects off the ground, we have been able to get a strong conviction and support from our customers. And that has been able to give us more kind of impetus to enter markets where customers need our support. And that's how we enter new markets and locations and cities that are driven by the insights that we gain from our customers.
Okay.
So it's a pretty large, extensive capital program, as you pointed out. Thank you.
Yeah, so obviously the customers are a big driver of the expansions. But I also wanted to understand kind of how COVID changed or affected or impacted your plans, because COVID has driven a huge wave of digitalization and digital consumption across the world, and especially across Asia and Southeast Asia. Has COVID changed the plans in any way, shape or form? In sense of, has it speeded it up? Has it made it easier to get into new markets? How has COVID changed the business from 2 years ago?
Yeah, not much, to be honest, João. The way our observations have been, what COVID demonstrated is an irreversible trend of cloud adoption that started a few years ago in Asia. And the trend has continued, and COVID proved that without cloud adoption in things like consumer e-commerce services, delivery services, online communication like we're doing on video, all that was a very important part of the transition that was underway already. And the COVID proved that it was inevitable and irreversible. So that's really the core. It just proven the market that cloud is real, and we are still in the very early stages. So if you look ahead over the next 5 to 10 years, Asia, there's a huge untapped potential for cloud adoption. And I think that's what we have started seeing is the growth that's coming is projected at over 20% CAGR in the coming years. So that's a very exciting growth, with exciting spot to be in Asia, providing those kind of infrastructure services to cloud companies.
Definitely. I mean, if you look at the projections as well from analyst houses around cloud adoption and digital infrastructure adoption, I mean, the numbers are mind blowing. Everything is in the dozens, millions, billions, trillions. So it's very interesting. But actually, and picking up on the specific markets that you're getting into now, India. So you've announced an investment in India. You're going to Navi Mumbai, I think with about 48 megawatts, correct me if I'm wrong, with 2 buildings. You have plans to expand in at least 2 or 3 other cities. I mean, India is a world in itself. And India, if Asia has exploded when it comes to the digital infrastructure investments, India in the last 12, even 6 months, has completely been reshaped. The monopoly has changed with so many competitors coming in with several multi-billion-dollar projects to expand across several cities. How are you going to place yourself in this monopoly? How much are you actually investing in India? I couldn't find a number for India. So if you could share the number that you're investing in India and where you're going to go, and how easy has it been to get into India? Because usually a lot of people talk about land, for example. So let's talk expansion plans for India, how much you're investing, the challenges of going to India, and how you're going to place yourself within such a booming market. Sorry, there's a lot of questions in one question, but let's attack it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Joe, you did pick up important dimensions of the Indian market. One, from a macro perspective, India is probably the 3rd largest economy in Asia after China, Japan. So I think and a lot to be done in India with over 1 billion people. The adoption of mobile and smartphones has just accelerated over the last few years. And that is driving a lot of consumer services for cloud-based services, apps, and so on. Then the second part is the enterprises in India have started adopting cloud in a very serious mode in terms of India's large banking institutions, manufacturing companies, and India has always been at the forefront of IT and technology. So those companies have started adopting cloud as part of their IT infrastructure. And third, in India, policymakers and government leaders across the board have been placing digitalization at the forefront of India's transformation. So considering these three factors, cloud in India is just at the very early stages of a massive growth. And from that perspective, we have entered the India market with a long-term view to be the core provider for this transformation change that's happening, where our customers, the cloud companies, have started investing quite a bit in India, the e-commerce and the cloud companies. From our plan perspective, we announced the Mumbai project, as you pointed out. That's over $300 million of investment for that one project itself, João. And then we are looking at least a couple of other sites in the next year or so. So comfortably, we'll be crossing over $1 billion of commitment in India within the next year, within the next 12 months. So that shows our commitment to India market and the potential that it offers. Like in Japan, like in China, it's a large market in the making, already at a good starting point.
All right, that's very interesting. And you just updated my $2.5 billion figure that you've announced to about 3.5 billion now, almost. But I mean, it's great to see projects of this magnitude coming out, especially for India. I've got a soft spot for India, so I'm always interested to see the expansion there. So we've talked about China, Japan, India. You've also got Indonesia and Singapore. What's next? Are you planning any funding rounds to go into new geographies? Are investors like knocking on your door and be like, oh, why are you not going there? Let's go there. What's the plan from here in terms of new geographies?
No, investors are knocking on a door, but not with specific markets for us to go. But they're just interested in the company and the potential that it could offer for investors. But joking aside, João, we continue to expand driven by two simple factors. One, continue to deepen in the markets we're already in, like China, like Japan, and we just talked about India and Indonesia. We just announced last month, as you know, a new 22 megawatt hyperscale data center we're building. So overall, we'll continue to deepen in the market we are in, but we'll also enter some new markets. And that would be driven again largely by what our customers are guiding us and kind of nudging us towards. And this could be countries like Philippines, like Korea, it could be Australia. So these are markets that are on the top of mind for our customers that matter to us. And so the expansion will continue, deepen in markets as well as enter new markets selectively. And then from a capital perspective, we are very well capitalized with two of the most premier blue chip investors, as you know, Warburg Pincus, who has been our investor from day one when we've co-founded the company, my partner and I. And also Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, who came in last year. Combined, these two are very deep-pocketed long-term investors. But at the same time, as we grow the business, there's a lot of interest in the capital markets to invest in data centers, and particularly in Asia. And PDG becomes a very attractive business given the track record of success we had, fortunately, as well as the Pan-Asia story that has been proven. I think that has gained a lot of interest in the market to invest in PDG. And we will, at selective times, bring in investors that would be complementary to our current investors that'll help us scale the business further.
Do you have any dreams of putting your foot into other regions, Europe, any parts of the world? Or are you just Asian through and through for now?
Asia through and through for now, João. I think there's so much to be done here, and we are completely focused on Asia and make sure that we scale well across multiple countries, and most importantly, provide the kind of level of quality of service and support that our customers expect of us. And that's a promise we want to keep, and we want to make sure that we focus on Asia.
Okay. And if we look into Princeton in 5 years' time, will we see a public company? Will it have been acquired by someone else? Will you be the latest hot REIT in the data center space? I mean, what's kind of the exit strategy if you got one at this stage?
I mean, two parts. One, how would we be 5 years from now? I think we would anticipate that in 5 years, PDG would be probably the most formidable data center operator in Asia, which customers would probably have a number one as a recall in their desire to do business with PDG. From a capital structure perspective, I think we our focus is to build the business. When we feel at the appropriate time that public capital is appropriate for our growth, then we'll go public. I think the going public in itself is not an event that we look for. It's more about right kind of capital at the right stage of growth of the business. So it looks very attractive, the scale of the opportunity that lies ahead of us. So growth is what we are focused on, and making sure we have enough ammunition and capital for that growth. Now it's private. At appropriate time, it could be public capital.
Okay. And Rangu, before I let you go, one quick question around ESG. I mean, sustainability, that's priority number one for most operators nowadays. So is people as well. How are you addressing renewable energy sustainability whilst keeping the human capital also at the top of the agenda as you expand across all these markets? Because, I mean, we know that the energy industry in India might not be as robust, especially renewable energy in India might not be as robust as it is in Japan. So how are you kind of maneuvering around this whilst also keeping the human capital at the heart of the business?
Yeah, I think ESG, and particularly the E part of the ESG, is core to our business, because that matters to our investors primarily and to our customers, as you pointed out. So our customers are demanding operators like us to be in line with their projections of commitments to carbon and so on. And our investors, the blue chip investors like we have, they want their portfolio companies like ours to focus a lot to make sure that we do the right things. And as a management, we believe that it's very important, and we believe in the same aspect of ESG. So the focus has been two parts. One, at the macro level, we have a company-wide ESG program, which is focused on multiple dimensions, and we will be sharing with in the public domain later this year about our targets and what we're going to do. So we will be delighted to share with you, João, when that comes out. But to give you a little bit of perspective, one is, we focus a lot from an operating efficiency perspective, where we can get better power utilization, power efficiency. And that, of course, the industry works in a way that customers incentivize us to get more efficient on a power basis. So that's already built into the business model of how we operate. So we are doing a lot of work around that in all of our operations of a data center across all our markets. Doesn't matter whether it's in China, India, or in Singapore, we are trying to achieve a very high standard of power efficiency. And so that work continues to go on. And the second part of it is ensuring that each of the markets, we are proactively working with policymakers, utilities, government regulators to bring in green power and also influence the industry's growth for green power production. And for example, in Jakarta, we were the first company to be awarded an REC certificate, the Renewable Energy Certificate. And that shows the ability for PDG on the ground, be able to work with local utilities and regulators to be able to be at the forefront in adopting green power. And same thing we are doing in other markets as well. Market by market, as you pointed out, is different, but each market, there's a lot going on green power. Even in India, there's tremendous effort by the private sector to drive green power production, renewable power production, and that varies state by state. So in India, in the state that Mumbai is on, is different than the state in southern India where Chennai is in. And each of the states, one state is more power, more wind power, the one state is more solar, and we work with the local PPAs arrangements that we can procure green power in the market, and that's pretty robust in India. And in Japan, it's a little different approach. So we have the ability, because our teams are pretty local, and that gives us an ability to execute on the ground that's in tandem with and be ahead in the market as well.
Okay. Well, to me, it sounds like the keywords here are a lot going on all fronts. Geography is your front, every front. It is an exciting industry to be part of and to see it growing as it has in the last 2 years. Rangu Salgame, Chairman and CEO of Princeton Digital Group, thank you so much for talking to us. It's certainly interesting to learn about the business and see how, I'm excited to see how you're going to expand from here. And the more multi-million, million, trillion dollars that you're going to be throwing at the industry in Asia. And as for you at home, thank you for joining in and watching, and check our website and give us a follow on social media for more breaking and timely news from across the digital infrastructure sector worldwide. At the Tech Capital, you lead, we report. Bye for now.